Hello, and welcome to my channel. I am Shagar, the Half-Orcbandit, and today I'm sharing my origin story. One thing that you might notice is that my voice sounds a little bit different. I am using a voice mod. This is for security and to alleviate the mental distress of hearing my unmodified voice when doing editing. Now, about the video today, this is what I consider canon. Whenever I play Shagar, in a one-shot or a campaign, history or before adulthood remains unchanged. The events that follow, those that are shaped by the wild, chaotic fun of each iteration. This, however, is where it all begins. Some of the events come after she reaches adulthood and are events that were very memorable, whether it be for good or for ill, that I felt makes great moments for development in her overall narrative. So she'd always have the initial plot at the start. It's just depending on the scope of the campaign determines how far into her overall narrative we would have her at when she enters a new campaign. Shagar was born in an orcish village, an unexpected union between an orc warrior and an elf. In the eyes of the orcish gods, such a pairing was an abomination. She never learned whether her conception was born of love, power, or weakness. Her memories of elves were fleeting. Most were prisoners of the clan, and thus more or less seen as weak. Her father never spoke of her mother. Whether it was out of duty or shame, she would never know. Her name in Orcish meant tainted, and she was treated as a blight, largely abused and kept at arm's length. Only her father offered a sliver of contact. But even he was bound by duty. Battered and scarred, Shagar masked her wounds with tribal tattoos and shaped scars, turning pain into a tapestry of endurance. At 8 years old, Shagar had mastered the basics of orcish combat. That's when the tribe decided to cast her out. They gave her a primitive club and branded her back with a red tattoo, marking her as an outcast. They promised to remove it only if she returned with the heads of Buratron, a legendary Draco Hydra. But everyone knew the truth. It was a death sentence. Not even her father could defy the clan's will. They expected her bones to decorate the beast's lair. Shagar, though young, was not a fool. She knew she lacked the strength, and she felt no love for the tribe that had cast her out. If she accomplished the deed, it would be for the father's approval, but even that tasted like ash in her mouth. Instead, she chose survival. She stalked predators for carrion. She shadowed goblin warriors, learning ambush tactics and cunning. Year by year, she grew in strength and guile. As her body matured into womanhood, Shagar became a proper woodman's brigand. Her pain, her shame, her fury, she weaponized it. She struck from the forest with the fury of a storm. Shagar's ambushes were swift, her strikes merciless. She didn't just survive, she thrived. Words of her spread like wildfire. Among humans, elves, and other civilized folk, she became a name spoken in hushed tones. A half-orc brigand who vanished into the trees and left behind blood and broken pride. Bounty hunters came for her. None returned with her head. Some didn't return at all. But notoriety breeds more than fear. It breeds desire. Some lords sent slavers, not for justice, but for possession. They imagined her in coliseums as a blood-soaked spectacle. Others wanted her for labor, and the darkest among those who had seen her and lived wanted her for brothels and bordellos. They all failed. Every slaver became a lesson carved into the forest wall. Shagar didn't just escape, she made examples. Her fury was not just survival, at this point. It was vengeance, and a declaration. I am not yours. I am not anyone's. Sorry. A stranger by the river. Shagar would have been content to remain in isolation. It was all she knew. But one autumn day, everything changed. She found a woman in armor, unconscious by a riverbank. Her name was Anna. Shagar, for all of her guile, still held an orcish sense of honor. She carried Anna back to her tent, the first visitor her stronghold had ever known. Anna remembered little. A past erased by a cult that had used her as a pawn. She was a shifter, though she didn't know it. In moments of extreme emotions, feline traits emerged. Claws, slitted eyes, and a fluid grace. Shagar saw the haunted silence, the rage beneath the skin, and for the first time in years, she chose not to walk alone. Shagar didn't know what to do with Anna. She carried the woman on her back to a camp out of instinct. That buried shard of orcish honor. But once Anna was awake, talking, and smiling, Shagar felt like she had invited a songbird into a wolf's den. Anna was kind, too kind. She asked questions that Shagar didn't know how to answer. She offered help Shagar didn't know how to accept. Shagar responded with silent grunts, shrugs. She wasn't used to being seen, let alone understood. Anna, for her part, didn't push. She sensed the tension, the mistrust, the walls built from years of survival, but she stayed. They began traveling together, out of necessity at first. Two blades were better than one, and Anna, despite her soft voice and uncertain past, could fight. Shagar watched her, not out of trust, but out of habit. She noticed the way Anna moved. Too graceful, too fluid. Sometimes her eyes gleamed gold. Sometimes her nails sharpened into claws. One night, after a skirmish with goblin raiders, Anna shook her nature sense. Her eyes slitted, her voice dropped into a low growl. Claws extended from in her fingers, and she stood over a fallen foe, breathing hard. Shagar didn't flinch. She didn't reach for her weapons. She simply nodded. You're not the only one who's been shaped by pain, I see. Anna looked at her, and really looked. And for the first time, Shagar didn't feel like a monster. She felt seen. And likewise, so did Anna. Their bond grew in fragments. A shared glance, a quiet laugh. A moment where Shagar didn't feel like a weapon. Anna began to feel something more. She didn't need it. She didn't dare. But she watched the way Shagar's guard dropped in inches, the way her voice softened, just slightly, when they were alone. And Shagar, though she'd never knitted, found herself listening for Anna's footsteps, waiting for her voice, feeling something she didn't understand. Eventually, Anna began to feel the pull of her own past. Dreams she couldn't explain, fragments of memory. A name whispered in sleep. One night by the fire, she said, I need to find out who I was. What they took from me. Shagar nodded. She understood. And then Anna added, you should try civilization. Not just read it, experience it. There might be more for you than the wild. Shagar scoffed. Civilization doesn't want me. Anna smiled. Maybe not, but I do. They didn't speak after that, but something lingered. When they parted, it wasn't with soul. It was with a look, a touch, a silence that said, this isn't over. And for the first time, Shagar turned toward the world, toward Nebraska. Now, I have to be fair. There is a bit of a content warning, though it's not explicit. This chapter does have some essay and other implications of abuse. In Nebraska, Shagar tried to join the Thieves' Guild. In a den of scalpels, she was a sledgehammer. Useful, but never trusted. She became a double-edged agent, joining the city guard to help the guild overthrow Warden Scados, a cunning wizard who ran illegal operations, including a notorious slave ring. Shagar played her part well. She learned deception. She sabotaged Scados discreetly. But one night, an adventurer, sweet on a guild member, stumbled into a secret meeting. Scados revealed his power, curses that shattered minds, magic that left one paralyzed. Faced with a choice, Shagar chose honor. She fought alone. She saved the adventurer, but Scados had escaped. With her cover blown, she was eventually captured, and Scados made her his favorite. He broke her, then physically, mentally, sexually. Her pride was stripped, her strength withered, her voice silenced. Until Anna returned. With an adventurer from her past, she staged a rescue. They found Shagar in a cell, a scrap of cloth for only covering, flinching at the male's approach. The storm of fury that was the barbarian before was now gone. Anna took Shagar far from Nevaska, to a secluded wood village. Shagar didn't protest. She didn't have the fire. The elves were patient. They let her exist. She walked the woods. She listened to the wind. Let the silence speak. Anna stayed close. And their bond deepened, not with passion, but with presence. Shagar believed herself damaged, worthless, defined by strength she no longer had. But Anna saw the woman beneath the stars, and slowly Shagar began to heal. She studied druidic magic, not to wield power, but to understand it. She accepted her elven blood, not as a shame, but as part of her. She was no longer the soil. She was more like the soil after the tree that bends but does not break. Shagar did not reclaim her fury, but she found something older, deeper, and wiser. She was shaped through her druidic path into an orcish interpretation of shamanism. Totems bound in thorn and bone, rituals carved into bark. When she returned to the world, she was unrecognizable. Her weapon was oaken, her armor living vines thorns, her shield bramble wood and pulsing magic. She wielded root, tree, and wind, water like blades, not to exploit the land, but to defend it. Shagar had become a force of nature, not a storm of rage, but a tide of balance. She no longer fought for survival. She fought for harmony, for the wounded wilds, and for those who had no voice. And in doing so, she reclaimed her own. And though she was once tainted, and though her name was once tainted, now it was a name that echoed across borders. Shagar, bandit queen of the wilds. Thanks to the recovery in the Elven lands, and a deepening bond budding into romance between Anna and Shagar, the pair set out once again to see more of the world. They were following clues that had been attained by Anna's blocked memories, trying to locate this couple. Most of the time, it was chasing rumors. For other times, there would be dreams or glimpses of events that happened. The pair traveled the world, chasing down these clues, trying to help Anna with her own trial and her own pains. One morning, Shagar observed that a storm was brewing, and just as they were about to head through the mountain pass, following one of Anna's clues, the storm broke. Reaching the narrowest part of the pass, the winds clashed against the cliffs. The skies cracked open with thunder. Shagar shouted something to Anna, but the wind stole her words. And then the mountain. A wall of stone and earth surged down the slope, faster than thought. Shagar saw Anna's eyes widen, and then she was gone, swallowed by dust and chaos. Shagar woke beneath a jagged overhead, bruised but breathing. The path behind her was buried, the way ahead blocked. She called for Anna until her voice broke, but only silence answered. She didn't know if Anna had been swept away or buried alive. All she knew is that she had to move. She had to believe Anna survived. Far on the other side of the path, Anna clawed her way from beneath the tangle of roots and rubble. Her head throbbed, her memories flickering like broken glass. She was alone. The storm had passed, but the mountain had changed everything. For days they wandered, each believing the other may be dead, but each refusing to give up. Anna followed the faint trail of her visions, hoping that they might lead back to Shagar. Shagar, meanwhile, checked for signs of movement, clinging to hope that Anna had escaped. And that, my friends, is the legend of Shagar, born of scorn, forged in fury, tempered by love and loss. Her story is one of survival, transformation, and the quiet power of choosing your own path. Whether you meet her as the bandit queen, the broken slave, or the druid of the wilds, this origin remains her truth, each chapter built upon the last, shaped by pain, resilience, and the rare grace of connection. And today marks a new chapter, not just in her story, but in how she's seen. This video is meant to be the debut of Shagar's PNGtuber form, a visual echo of the warrior behind the legend. I hope she feels as real to you as she does to me. If this tale stirred something in you, give it a like and share it with your fellow adventurers. And let me know in the comments if you want me to share other origin stories or like even D&D horror stories. Or maybe a similar backstory. I love reading backstories. Until next time, keep your blades sharp, your hearts open, and may your stories echo across the wilds. I am Shagar, the Half-Orcbandit, and this is only the beginning.